And we are here. Lovely Friday to you, my friends. Welcome to another Coach Borino Live. Good to see you, everybody. Good to see you, rock stars. I'm excited. Coffee's ready. A little espresso. Cheers. Have a cup of coffee with me. We'll talk about objections today. Lovely to see you, my friends. We're going to have a good time today. Some good practical information coming your way. So, let's say hello to some friends. Nicholas, Gary, Daryl, good to see you. Mr. Todd is in the house. Brittany, there it is. Brittany, Jerem Tone, Lizette, Chris, Stephen, Shane. All of you guys want to learn something about commissions and objections. Good to have you. I'll share with you. So, why don't we get started? I'm going to hit this. My name is Borino. If this is your first time, welcome. I am a Coach Borino. My name is Borino. I've been teaching, writing, doing real estate like you for many, many years now. And it's been my privilege and honor and duty to turn real estate agents into real estate rock stars. That's what I do. That is my job. So with that, we do this show almost daily now at noon here on Rockstars and on Facebook and on YouTube, where we talk about how to get more leads, good qualified leads, specifically seller leads. How to follow up with them so you get more appointments with those leads, and how to turn those appointments into listings. Those are the three objectives I always have. I don't teach a whole bunch of stuff, but this I've become pretty good at. So question for you. Some of you have been having this situation where you go on an appointment or even talking to the seller, maybe for sell by owner, says, well, you know, if I'm going to list, will you lower your commission? Will you reduce the commission? And what so many gurus and trainers will try to teach you is you need to have an objection handler. You need to rebuttal. You need to push back with some clever lie. And there's a fundamental problem with that. Because if you address the objection, in this case the commission, and you push back with some clever line, you're creating tension and conflict, which is the exact opposite of what you want to create is the bond, trust, a relationship, a sense of we're in this together. And I'm just as guilty. I went to the seminar. I got the clever line. Would you go to the work tomorrow and tell your boss, and if your boss asks you for 30% reduction, what would you do? Nobody gives a shit. It's a terrible way to not only address the real issue, and that comes from ignorance. Most agents just don't know where that really comes from. And two, it's a lazy way of not really dealing with the core problem. Not to mention it doesn't work. You tried it, right? I've tried it. Clever line, boom. It's silly. Or you try to explain, well, you need to understand, Mr. Seller, the commission is divided 4 ways between the selling agent and the listing agent, and the brokerage takes on. Nobody gives a fuck. Because it does not address the core issue. You with me so far? So we're not going to do that. I'm not going to give you some clever pushy line that's just going to label you, just another needy salesperson desperate for a listing. Let me show you something. I, as you know, started pretty intense workout regimen. And because my man George is big time into tennis shoes, I became a fan of good tennis shoes. So now I own a several pair of really nice ones, and I became a fan of Nikes. These are Nikes. Really good tennis shoes, high-end tennis shoes. I really like them. These are called Nike Prometheus, and this is Nike Prometheus Turbo. Almost identical, other than the color, of course, and these are personalized. Can you guys see it? There's a B here. For Borino, of course. You guys see that? Nike will do that for you. You can customize these. Now, these are very similar. Very similar. The Turbo is slightly more expensive. They retail for around 170. These are about 150. When I put them on, I don't know, maybe it's psychosomatic. These feel slightly better, but they're both very good shoes. They're both about the same. 170, these are about 150. If you get them on sale, you can get them for less, but they're about the same. Now, what do Nike tennis shoes have to do with real estate? Everything. Perception. See, if I really close my eyes and I put these on and these on, I couldn't tell the difference. Nobody can. That's not the issue. The issue is perception. The Turbo is considered the highest end, the best quality, and charges premium. The problem you run into, my friends, is when you go on an appointment, you're not the Turbo. You're the same. So then the seller, logically, would ask themselves, well, hell, why should I pay the same price? If they're all the same, might as well get the cheapest one. If they all look the same, if they all sound the same, if they all seem to do the same thing, I ain't going to pay the same price. I'm going to get the cheaper one. And if the seller shops around, you know how it is. Of course, they're going to find somebody who's going to be willing to do it for less. So the issue is not in having a clever line at the ready. The issue is, which is what we're going to do today, is address the real issue, the issue of perception. You see, my friends, if you're on a listing appointment with the seller and you deliver your listing presentation, and at the end the seller says, do you reduce your commission? What they're really telling you is you have not impressed them. You are not standing out. You're about the same. And if you put yourself in the seller's position, wouldn't you like to save some money if you could? If all the agents promise hard work and we put it in MLS and we're going to advertise and we're going to run some Facebook ads, and we're going to do drone photography and we're doing all that shit, well, that's great. So let's go with the cheaper one. So the problem of addressing, so here's the timeline, right? You meet the seller first here through your prospecting. This is the follow-up part, right here. Follow-up. This is where you set the appointment. This is the actual appointment, and this is where the listing gets sold. Now, you do the appointment. This is the presentation part. If you're addressing the commission issue here, I'm here to tell you, my friends, it's too late. Something in this process before, when you met the seller and when you were following up a setting up appointment, got derailed. Or something during your actual presentation got derailed. There was an interesting study done recently, psychological study, where they took people who had a brain damage. It was an interesting type of brain damage. These people were functioning logically. The neural cortex of their brain was functioning properly. They didn't feel any emotion. They couldn't feel any emotions. And what they discovered during this study is that these people could not make decisions. They were functioning, they were logically processing information, but when it came to making a decision, they got stuck. So what does that mean? That means every single seller you ever encountered, every single prospect, every single client, every single listing, the decision to go with this agent or that agent, with this person or that person, is not based on commissions. It's not based on logic. Logic only supports it. Logic follows it. It is purely triggered by emotion. So in order for you to address the commission issue, addressing it logically will never solve the problem. And if you tried it, you already know. The real issue must be addressed through this process, from the time you encounter the lead, all the way through the communication, all the way through the follow-up, all the way through the listing presentation must be very congruent emotionally. Because the decision to go with that agent will be triggered by an emotion. What are those emotions? There are three. They like you, they trust you, and they respect you. That's the real reason you get the listing, you get it at your commission, you get it at the right price and all that. That's what matters the most. Doesn't that make sense, guys? Are you with me? So to address it with some silly line here is not going to salvage the problem, because this is the real problem. And if at the end they don't like you, they don't trust you, and they don't respect you, my friends, no clever line will recover you from that. This is a human business. This is a people business. It's based on human interaction, based on emotions. This is not a logical process. It only feels that way. It only seems that way. And only sellers act like they're logical, rational human beings. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not telling you that they're stupid. This has nothing to do with intelligence. It has everything to do with decision-making and processing. And that processing is triggered by the fact that they must like you, trust you, and respect you. Now, why there's those three? What do they mean? And how is it related to the commission? Like you means we're on the same page. We're on the same frequency. We feel connection. Nobody would ever list with you if they don't like you. If they get like, oh no, I don't like that guy. You're not going to get that, right? Trust you, that means what you're saying, they believe that. They understand it. There is trust. They also feel like you have their best interest at heart. You want to protect their best interest. You want to serve in their best interest. And respect you means they follow your lead. You have been accepted as a leader because you must be. In order for you to be in the position of a rockstar listing agent who's going to guide them through the process, there needs to be a leader. You must be in the lead. You must be behind the steering wheel. So picture this. It's like a car. And there are people in that car. You have the seller, husband and wife maybe, and then there's you. Only one person can drive. Only one person can be behind the steering wheel. And if you don't set the framing, which was what we talked about during the presentation plus, as you being in charge, the authority, if you're not accepted as that authority, where you have the credibility, you have the personality, you have the communication, all that comes with it, you will never win that listing. You will never be the respected leadership position you need to be in order for you to tell, we need to list it at this price, we need to get these repairs done, and then guide them through all the way through inspections and approvals, paperwork, to closing. Wow, but Reno, I was hoping for some clever line I can just incorporate in my presentation when I get the commission objection, and you're teaching me all this psychology stuff. That is the core issue, my friends. You are perceived as everybody else. You sound the same, you say the same things, you act the same, you deal with same insecurities, you're willing to give in when the seller pushes, and you're not dealing with their emotions. You're trying to address the logical, the rational. That's not where the problem is. So now, knowing all this, how do we fix it? Position yourself as the authority. Number one, right here. From the beginning. From the beginning, you're the authority. You know the answers. You have the solutions. Now, I'm not saying be arrogant. I'm not saying be aggressive. Don't be jerk. It's not about that. It's about confidently leading the seller like your doctor would. When you go to the doctor, they diagnose, they go through the process, maybe x-rays, tests, and then they see, okay, the problem is this, we need to do this. You would never tell your doctor, well, no, I don't want to do that, give me aspirin. It's their job to help you. That's why you're there. It's your job to help your sellers. That's why you're there. And your prescription must be this price, this commission, these terms, these repairs, staging, anything else that needs to be done. Access to the property, marketing, photos, all that. Are you with me? So you're setting it up as a process. This is not a one-time, one thing you do. This comes down to those three things we always talk about. Connected, confident, and then helpful. That's how you set it up. And if you're lacking one of these, of course you're going to get objections. Of course you're going to brush you off. And you're going to hear things like, well, we're going to think it over, and we're going to sleep on it. We have more agents to interview. That's really what they're telling you. They don't feel connection. They don't feel you're confident enough. And they don't feel like you're helpful. You really want to protect their best interest. Now, I promised you a practical. So here's the practical element to it. This must be in place first. Without this, this is not going to work. But once you work on this, you put this in place, and I will help you. We're going to have the Presentation Plus 2.0 is coming out later this month. So this all will be for you lined up, and I'll show you and demonstrate and teach you how to do that. But for now, this is my approach. I call it the preemptive strike. Before the seller brings out the commission issue, I start our conversation as connected, confident. Now, yes, some trust and relationship needs to be established. This cannot be, you cannot start this cold. But after some trust and conversations, I would say, Jim, I got to tell you, I am not the cheapest guy in town. I'm not the most expensive, but if you're shopping strictly based on commission, I'm definitely not your person. Because if commission is the only issue, only criteria on which you're going to base the sale of your biggest financial asset, then I'm definitely not your guy. And I assure you, if you shop long enough, you're going to find somebody who's going to do it just for a few bucks. There probably is some bored housefrau, you know, a wife of some rich lawyer who's bored of watching QVC who will do it for free just to get out of the house. But if you need somebody who has your best interest at heart, who knows how to get it done, who helps clients just like you every single day, then let's work together. What do you want to do? Shut up, look them in the eye, don't say anything else, be okay with whatever follows. Let the silence sit there. Let them process. Remember, they're making emotional decisions. What did I just demonstrate? Authority, confidence, not attached to the outcome, all of these. But I want to be helpful. So I want to help you. I know how to do this. Are you with me? That's how you do it, friends. If you back it up with good marketing, good presentation, good communication, not to impress the seller, but to walk them through the process, to build the connection and trust that you must have. We're in this together. We are a team. You have a goal, you have a problem, I have a solution to it. I know how to get this done. I'm competent. Now, I don't need to say those words. That need to come through my communication and my behavior, but also my mindset. And that's the core of it all. Because friends, if you struggle with money, if you have financial issues, if you're desperate, if you are a penny pincher, you're going to attract the same. Like attracts like. Flocks, the birds of feather flock together. Birds of feather flock together. You're going to attract the same type of people. So if this is a consistent issue, if people consistently hit you up with commissions and money, and if you work with clients who are cheap and difficult, it's a reflection of what's going on in your mindset. Like attracts like. If you want good clients, happy clients, prosperous clients, passionate clients, positive clients, clients who are easy to work with, look within. What is your relationship to money, to success, to wealth? And be honest. Answer to those questions will to a great degree tell you who's going to show up in your life. All right. Is that helpful? Mr. Mario, what's going on? Mario says, have a great listing presentation. Might not help an agent. There is more emotions and psychological in play when meeting with sellers and buyers. Yes, totally. It is all psychological. The best rock stars who master this stuff, my students who are top, and this is one of the few things I teach, is how to deliver an amazing listing presentation. And the reason it works so well is because it's a process. It doesn't start when you sit down with the seller. That's usually the easy part, because the heavy lifting has been done in advance. You do indoctrination and pre-selling and all that, where you're already positioned before you meet. It would be just like going for a surgery. You would not research your doctor. I'm using that example. We've been using it throughout today. You would not research your doctor when it's time to take the anesthesia. You know what I mean? You would do it in advance. Same thing here. Same thing here. There is a process so that by the time you sit down with the seller, who you are, they like you, trust you, and respect you, you feel connected, confident, and helpful has been already established. The presentation just confirms that, and it's very often the easiest part, where there's no conflict, there's no pushing. We're in this together. Does that make sense? So understanding the psychology, and more importantly, understanding how you can use it to your advantage without manipulating the seller or being just a sloppy sleazebag salesman, will serve you really well. Because there'll be no seller's remorse, there'll be no phone calls, we changed our mind, or we're going to go with another agent, or can you please cancel? We decided not to go forth with you. Those objections usually come from being too pushy and being manipulative. Because if you have very open, honest conversation, there's a deep connection. You can either decipher it right at the beginning so you don't have to go through the process, or it's not going to happen. Because if they want to move, if they need help, if selling is really in their best interest, and if they like you, trust you, and respect you, why wouldn't they go with you? Think about that. Yeah? Thanks, Borino. Food for thought. I need to get my mindset reorganized. Absolutely. Great tips this morning. Glad you like them. Good. Excellent. Val says, this is great. Thank you. Glad it was helpful. That's my job, my friends. So that's what you do. That's how you do it. Now, it's okay to, of course, address it. If the seller does bring it up, don't just sit there. I just showed you how you can do it. You can tell them, I'm not the cheapest one. This is what I charge. I believe it's fair for everybody. If you want the cheapest one, there is somebody else out there who will do it for a lot less than me. But the question is, would you trust somebody like that with something so important and so big? Because at the end, I discovered that if you save a penny here, you can lose a lot more there. This is no joke. Selling a house is no joke, especially in this day and age, with so many hungry lawyers who would just jump on an opportunity to sue you for some mistake or something that another agent can intentionally or unintentionally do. What do you want to do? See how I keep asking, what do you want to do? I give them the option. I don't manipulate. I don't pressure them. They always have the freedom to choose, we don't want to work with you. And if they tell me why, I can address that. But if they say, well, we don't trust you, then I have a problem. And that's not solved by some clever line. You need to figure out why is it that you're tripping the trust alarm. That's important. Okay? All right, any questions about it? Todd says, this was a great way to start my day. Thanks, Coach. My pleasure. And Mr. David is saying, I'll tell you right now, I'm selling a property for a divorced couple. Yeah, there you go. So you know how that goes, right? All right, friends. That's it for today. Work on it. Work on these points. Work on your mindset. It always starts with your mindset. Solve your money issues. Solve any conflict that you have about wealth. That's what I struggled with for a long time. I had those stupid beliefs. Money's hard to come by and you got to watch every penny and all that. And of course, my life reflected those beliefs. So start with that. If I can help you in any way, come join the path. It's an ongoing private coaching that I have for clients where you get all my systems, you get books, you get all kinds of support, accountability from me. You have direct access to me. We work together. It's a lot of fun. We had a great session Wednesday. So come join us. The URL is goborino.com. Check it out. There's a whole bunch of books that we can send you, systems that I'll help you build, lead generation, follow-up, and listing presentation, including my brand new listing presentation 2.0 that's coming out later that month. As part of the path, of course, you will get it free. It's pretty cool. If you want to get it, I'll tell you where to get it when it's ready. The URL for the path is goborino.com. I really appreciate the opportunity to share this with you today. Thanks for being here. Have a fantastic weekend, and I'll talk to you real soon. Coach Borino signing off. Let's go get 'em. Bye, everybody.